My name is Antonio. My page is Unapologetically Black. I ask that you like and subscribe to the page and share this video. Not only was the Roman Catholic Church using Christianity as a means to enslave its own people, it was also using Roman Christianity as a means to steal land that was inhabited by black people. That includes France, Portuguese, and Spain. I need you to understand this is why you see the continuance in them trying so hard to leave a legacy, leave an heir, because they was trying to claim your lineage.
20-year-old Henry VIII became the King of England. Now, a few weeks before he was coronated, Henry decided that he would actually marry the 23-year-old widow Catherine, and they quietly married. So Henry married his brother's widow. And in 1510, Catherine gave birth to a stillborn, and then in 1511 she gave birth to a boy who tragically died a few weeks after birth, and then she continued to have miscarriages until 1516 when she gave birth to a baby girl, Mary Tudor. Now, as all of this was happening, Henry took some mistresses. Now, how many is a matter of debate, but one of his mistresses gave birth to his son, Henry Fitzroy. Now, as Henry and Catherine were trying for children, the Protestant Reformation had also begun in Germany. Martin Luther had led the charge in criticising the Catholic Church, and like his father, Henry decided to step in on the side of the Catholic Church. He wrote a pamphlet called Defense of the Seven Sacraments, and this impressed Pope Leo X, who gave Henry the title of Defender of the Faith. But as Henry was being seen as a hero of the Catholic faith, there still remained a child issue for him. Henry needed to have a male heir. It was the safest way to secure his line of succession, and given that his family was new to the throne, leaving no male heir was a surefire way to see his family thrown out. So what do you do? One option was to try and get the Pope to declare that his illegitimate son, Henry Fitzroy, should actually be the next king. But just as the church was getting accused of corruption, Henry knew that this would be a terrible look for the Pope, and that he probably wouldn't agree to it. Another was to marry.
So you can see them being new to the throne, you can see the desperation in their attempts to create an heir in order to claim the land that was once belonged to another people, in order for them to leave a lineage. And you can see them using the Roman Catholic Church as a means to legitimate their descendants as the rightful possessors of the land of England. And we know that these Anglo-Saxons are not originated from England. We know now that it was black people who was indigenous to England.
Final option for Henry was to try and divorce Catherine and marry someone else who instead would give him the son he longed for. There were three options there, but Henry increasingly liked the idea of the last one because a woman by the name of Anne Boleyn had actually caught his eye. He tried to make her his mistress, but she said she'd only be his wife, and with Henry head over heels for Anne, he decided to try and get a divorce from Catherine. And so in 1527, Henry went to the new Pope, Pope Clement VII, and he asked for a divorce. Henry actually appealed to the Bible and he picked out a verse from the book of Leviticus that said, "If a man marries his brother's wife, it is an act of impurity, he has dishonored his brother and they will be childless." And Henry argued that because Catherine had earlier married his brother Arthur, his own marriage to Catherine was therefore never legitimate in the eyes of God, and God had cursed them by them being childless.
I need you to understand is that that was an arranged marriage by the church that he was arguing that was godless. The church arranged the marriage in order to keep alliances. The church, the Pope, is the one who ordained the kings. So he's arguing against what the Pope had put forth in order for them to keep their power consolidated while stealing land from people of color.
I mean, imagine how his daughter Mary must have felt hearing this. And so at the trial of Blackfriars in 1529, basically Henry continued to argue that he should get the divorce and that Anne Boleyn should become his new queen. Now, there was a big problem. Because Europe was webbed together by alliances through marriage, a lot of the monarchs were actually related to each other. And Holy Roman Emperor Charles V, who we've seen in previous videos, was actually the nephew of Catherine, and for him and the Habsburg family name, it was utterly humiliating watching Henry discard his auntie like that. And so the Pope then had a decision of to side with Charles or to side with Henry. Charles had actually sacked and imprisoned the Pope earlier in 1527, and fearful of Charles, he sided with him and refused to give Henry a divorce. This infuriated Henry, and in his eyes, with Charles and Pope Clement so clearly conspiring against him, he decided to break away from the church. The Act of Royal Supremacy in 1534 formalised the separation and replaced the Pope with the King. Henry was the new head of the Church of England, and in terms of what the church believed, the church was very much still Catholic in practice. I say that cautiously.
Did you understand what was just said? This guy, King Henry, he switched control from the Pope ruling England, dictating the king, and making the king the head of England. They used the religion as a means of control, manipulation, and to enslave their own people. This is why it was forbidden for a Roman, for a English monarchy who was in line for the throne to marry a Roman Catholic. New rules on royal succession have come into force, removing male biases and discrimination against Roman Catholics. If the Duke or Duchess of Cambridge's new baby is a girl, she will follow Prince George and become fourth in line to the throne and will not be overtaken by any future younger brothers. The new rule also allows members of the royal family to marry a Roman Catholic and become a king or queen. However, Roman Catholic royals still cannot become a monarchy because they did not want to hand power back over to the Roman Catholics. This is also why in America they were so skeptical about having JFK, who was a Roman Catholic, as the president, because they did not want to be governed by Rome. You have to learn your history and understand that Christianity was used as a means to enslave white people in England. It was used as a means in order to take England from the black people. It was also used as a means to take Spain from black people.
They prayed to saints, they believed in purgatory, they believed that people got to heaven by faith in Jesus as well as good works. And
when the head of your kingdom is placed there by God and the leader of your religion, good works is servicing your kingdom. Good works is serving the king. Good work is worshiping the king. This is how they translated the worship of God to the worship of them.
And they were still very much Catholic in their belief, apart from the fact that there was no Pope in this new church and the Pope had been replaced by the King. Henry's original church was in some ways Catholicism without the Pope, and so Henry VIII attacked people on both the Catholic and the Lutheran sides. He launched a campaign to have Luther and William Tyndale killed, and you can check that out here, for trying to supply England with English Bibles. And at the same time, he executed his Catholic Lord Chancellor, Thomas More, for refusing...
You understand what was done. They executed the Lutheran guy. That's where the Lutheran Catholic Church come from. You could not have the Bible in your own language. And he had the guy who had the Bible converted into the English language so that the people could understand what was being said themselves, had him murdered. If you don't understand how religion was used as a means of control of people through these processes, and you don't understand how religion was used to create the feudal system, which later enslaved white people, and you don't see how they came back and reapplied that same Christianity to enslave black people, then you have no vision. then you should also be able to see how they're trying to come back with the white Christian nationalists in order to make themselves superior in the name of religion, to justify the concept of re-enslaving you or committing genocide against you. All these things are always done in the name of religion. So when you see white people hollering and talking about white Christianity, the Bible, you'll know these white people are talking about your genocide or your re-enslavement.
To recognize him as the head of the church. And so as Henry purged his office of traditional Catholics who viewed the Pope as being the head of the church, he couldn't replace them with Lutherans because their beliefs on things like purgatory and being saved by faith rather than just works, and they didn't believe in praying to the saints, well, those beliefs actually clashed still with the mostly Catholic beliefs that the new church had. So Henry appointed some more moderate people into key positions. He appointed Thomas Cranmer as the new Archbishop of Canterbury, who would for now toe Henry's line on how the church should be run. Henry